keep saying what's next.
Yeah.
We are here until we end this menagerie of mandates and not laws. We are a country of... Please, let me finish. You spoke, I'm speaking.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Senators, for hearing us today. My name is Ron Coleman. I'm from Reno, Nevada. My daughter said to me before I left, Dad, you can't afford to do this with everything that's come over the last 2 years. And I looked at her and I said, I can't afford not to do this. This is a movement that the people have brought forth to say our God-given rights have been trampled on from our Constitution. Let Nancy Pelosi know that the power is in the people and we are coming. And good evening, everyone. It's been a bit of time, and I thought I'd just log on, and even if I didn't have really a format or anything to say on this, and just kind of go over everything. Today's April 6th, and we are getting ready for the solar eclipse that is to occur on Monday. Yeah, I see you there, Debbie. How you doing on X? So I thought I would just kind of do an ad lib night, Sunday evening, just wishing everyone well and kind of just go over it. There's so much happening. So much is happening. Earthquakes and volcanoes and southern border and all. It's just hard to believe that this can hit the way that it's hitting. It's just everything is hitting so hard. And hey, Daryl, how you doing? So I figured I'd just kind of take some questions, throw out my opinions, and go from there. And just kind of have a hangout session with you guys. Gunny? Where do you see Gunny? Where do you see Gunny? There's Truckin' Girl. Let's see, Truckin' Girl is in there. How you doing? Oops, wrong one. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's one. Gunny? I'm trying to remember what he goes by. Well, yeah. I mean, look at the amount of I don't want to call them prophecies. The amount of chatter for this eclipse coming up on Monday. This is just unheard of. I mean, there's everyone out there with all their theories and what's happening, and 1811, what happened in 1811, the boot heel of Missouri, and so on and so forth. I have my own opinions, but you know what they say about opinions. And I just look at things this way. I mean, there is a large amount of gravitational pull that the moon does. That's why we have tides. And it makes you wonder, with all the earthquakes and everything that are coming up, are we looking at something like the 1811 occurrence again. But what's really weird is seeing all this National Guard activity and along the path of totality. So that's really kind of strange. Doesn't make sense, does it? I mean, New Jersey earthquake yesterday, Connecticut earthquakes, so on and so forth. Yeah, just earthquakes, and there's Alley Cat. Hey, how you doing? So, just a lot of things happening. You've got question marks about King Charles over there in England. You've got, where's the princess? Just all kinds of things. I've been pretty busy trying to get things done around the house here, and just as things were starting to warm up, we got hit with another cold snap. Snowed all day yesterday, and after having 60-degree weather, just plummeted, just went right straight down. Yeah, New Jersey earthquake. We've had a couple over there in Connecticut, I guess. And looking at USGS, it's pretty interesting looking at that. Let's see if I bring up that USGS website for y'all. Bring up the latest earthquakes here. All right. So this is live USGS data. And, the path of totality comes right up across the Gulf of Mexico and kind of just makes an arc up there. And it's interesting that we've got all these earthquakes that are happening all over the place all of a sudden. It brings up some interesting questions. But then we've got them up in Montana and Idaho and Utah and Nevada. When I look into Nevada, we've had some pretty good ones here. That's just we wouldn't even feel a 1.3 out of Rachel. So that Rachel is where Area 51 would be considered. Some of that stuff there. These are a lot of them are point 0.1, point 0.01. But it's interesting to look at this path of totality picking up some of them in the 3 and 4 plus. There's a 2, 2.1, 2.5, all in the boot heel. Now, if you haven't done your research, look up 1811 earthquakes for Missouri. And there was, I think, the numbers astronomical in a number of earthquakes in this same location back in 1811, in this same exact location. And here we go with this path of totality, which is going right through there. So some of the conspiracy theories behind that, all I can say is be careful. I noticed that even Glenn Beck is putting out a prepping guide, um, telling people to be prepared, keep your head on a swivel. Um, I just bring this up. There's still a missing 30 tons of ammonium nitrate. And we know that the politicians, whether they be Democrats or Republicans. They don't want to let a good disaster go wasted in their minds. So they don't want to waste any good disasters. Just saying. So keep your head on a swivel. I don't know that you would find me anywhere near the path of totality. Just saying. I wouldn't be anywhere near it. So just something to think about. See what we got. Hey, Zero. Well, the pull of the moon, the gravitational pull of the moon, as as you have this orbiting of the moon. My dog was just bugging me. I got my door open. Oh, she's playing with the cat. Um, I have to sneeze, so I apologize. One moment. Whew, I had to sneeze. So, the Earth's gravitational pull, when it comes around on a certain axis where it's a bit closer to Earth than usual, and you pick up a celestial event like a solar eclipse, you've got a couple things working on you. You've got the gravitational pull from the excess the sun's radiation from solar flares that have been happening. Because different solar flares, as they come past the Earth, they can kind of move the magnetics that surround the Earth. And when that occurs, you wind up with not as much protection. So you get this double whammy. You get the magnetic issue, and then you also pick up, which is why you can see the during solar flares, you can see the northern lights a lot further south, is because of the magnetic disruptions. And so you pick that up along with the moon's gravitational forces that's working on the core of the Earth, and you have a whole lot of volcanic reactions as well as earthquakes. Um, just things that happen. So let's see here. I saw something earlier today that would also explain magnetics. I'm not sure exactly where it was, whether it was on a beach in Florida or wherever it was, but just thousands and thousands. Can't keep her away. Um, thousands and thousands of fish coming up on shore. So that's another thing that we need to be cognizant of, is looking at animals' reactions. They react. There are birds. I mean, the birds use a magnetic um, compass, if you will. And they start acting weird. Fish, schools of fish acting weird. That has a sonic reaction as well as magnetic reaction. So there's just creaks and things happening to Earth that may disorient fish as well. So we just got a lot of things happening here. Do you mind? Hey, Tabby, don't mind the cat. Yeah, she's being silly. See, that's the other thing when the stars are in alignment. That's the really interesting thing about this is that on Monday, I mean, we're already in this celestial alignment that is causing things to go wonky. But when you have all the planets in alignment at the same time with the moon in a solar eclipse, the gravitationals have got to be off the charts. And I'm pretty sure that the government, if there was something bad that was coming, I don't know that they would tell us. I don't know that they would tell us. I don't think that they would tell us if there was a comet or an asteroid or anything heading towards us. I mean, it would have to leak out, and of course, that would be all fringe theory. So, I just don't think that they're forthcoming. Take a look around here. Yeah, with everything that's going on in New York and the southern border crisis, there was a convoy that went down and spent some time down in Texas, and then it broke up, and I didn't think it was going to be the way that it was being advertised as being, 700,000 trucks or vehicles, I should say. And I understand that was also a comment that says that would say that it would take that many to line the border. It really wouldn't, but still, you're not going to get to the border. It's the last place you want to be. And my own theories about going to the border is that the cartels are big right here, right now, and the cartels don't think for a minute they don't have facial recognition software access. They catch people down there, and they're going to, there's potential that your entire family is going to be harmed. And so I just wouldn't give that the time of day. The fight isn't literally on the border. It is with the policies that work the border. And that is in DC. But even now, it's like when I went to DC, the fight can't be won by fighting there in DC either. There's a plan, and no matter what we say as the people, unless we get millions upon millions of Americans to stand up across the entire country, there's just nothing that we can do to change what's happening right now in Washington, D.C. It's just not going to happen. We'd have to swamp the system. That's why I constantly say, how do you move the needle? Now, I spent at least a year on the road between the convoy and the walk and trying to get people engaged. And just it's super interesting. You find patriots all over the place, but they tap you on the shoulder and say, "I'm right there with you, Ron. I'm right there with you." Well, I don't see you doing anything. You got to be uncomfortable. There's sacrifices to be made, and in those sacrifices, they're real. You know, I on the convoy for me, I think into the between the convoy and the walk that it put me into a lot. Well, it just put me into a situation where it's going to be a long time, if at all, that I can come out of it. And so I really get irritated when I hear people say, "Well, what have you given?" Well, I gave up almost a year of my time to get out there and to try and make a difference, and I still do so, but I'm not out there in people's faces like I was. Um, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to know there's so many patriots in the country, but they won't stand up and do anything. even if it's just one day of having every single patriot in the country come together and show just how strong we can be as a nation. Can't find it, or can't seem to tap that access. Let me take a look and see what's happening here. I just put that up on the screen there. If you want to help support the channel, help support my server and the all this good stuff, you can buy me a cup of coffee. The what do we got to do? Man, I wish I had the answer to that. I know what we have to do. We've got to basically replace Washington, D.C. Marjorie Taylor Greene said it best yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It might have been the day before. With Tucker Carlson, she said everyone in Congress needs to be fired, including her. That's what she said. And she's right. There's a total compromised situation, and there's no doubt in my mind that even Mike Johnson, who prior to being Speaker of the House seemed to do everything the right way, but now it's like, okay, well, let's give money to Ukraine. Come on, that's the biggest money laundering scheme there is. And there are two forms of justice in this country. If you're a Biden, you get away scot-free. But if you're a patriot, you're the enemy, and you're treated as such. I mean, come on, they've got a grandmother who was just praying at the Capitol. They put her in prison for trespass on the people's property. So this is this is a police state. We're here. Dinesh D'Souza is correct. Dan Bongino is correct that we're living in a police state. And when you see the left and the media out there saying Donald Trump is going to weaponize the DOJ if he becomes president. No, you're already looking at a weaponized DOJ. You need to get rid of the Department of Justice. You need to get rid of the FBI because they have turned into Gestapo. They are running around this country still to this day, arresting people for January 6th that they called an insurrection without a single patriot taking a gun to an insurrection. You want to see insurrection, you take a look at you send a bunch of patriots with guns. That's an insurrection. So these people lied through their teeth to protect a narrative. And if you say that the election was stolen, then you're part of the problem because the media says it wasn't stolen and the government says it wasn't stolen. Well, we all know that it was stolen. We know it. We saw it with our own two eyes. But if you're an influencer and you say that, you're in trouble because you'll have the FBI kicking your door down saying you messed up. And even if you don't have it, they will find child porn on your computer. That's how they do it. Let's see. Yeah, 3%. You bet. You bet. Yep. James Top did walk across to Canada and back. So, hey, Mona. Well, Congress is bought and paid for by corporations, large corporations that begin with a color, with, and billionaires that have the initials of GS and so on. And let's not forget Freed. Okay, let's not forget the cryptocurrency deal with the Ukraine and billions of dollars, with millions of dollars coming back to politicians. Yeah, let's not forget Sam Bankman Fried, okay? That's right. In the end, no one gets a free ride. It will come about, but not before they have bankrupted many, many, many people, humiliated many people, removed the lifeblood of many, many people, and so on. Hey, Linda. Tell her happy birthday. Huh? Weathercat? There's Weathercat. Did Weathercat come in? Yep, there's Weathercat. Giovanna's got the point on that. If you really wanted to get away scot free in the Capitol today, all you have to do is say you're squatting. Yeah. Yeah, the Black Swan event. I wish I had a crystal ball. I wish I was prophetic in that way, and to be able to look and see. I mean, we have got we have got a lot in here, okay, with revelations and whether or not we are an end of days. So, I mean, there's a lot to consider. Acts 2 verse 19 and verses 20 speaks to a darkening of the sun and a blood moon. If during this eclipse we wind up with a reddish colored moon, man, that would be kind of prophetic, I think. Hey, Nurse D. So I'm thinking that if you're anywhere near the path of totality, maybe it's not a. If it were me, I would think I would just find somewhere else to be. Um, I don't know. Again, I don't know why the National Guard was called out, and they've got nuclear and gas chemical, I should say, chemical experts deployed in Oklahoma City. What do they know that we don't know, or what they're not telling us? So it's just something to think about. You know, let's talk a little bit about this whole legal system. You know, we've got, it's a joke, the legal system, right? The E. Jean Kelly, $83.3 million. But when you look at Judge Kaplan, her attorney, two attorneys, one was his sister, and the other one was an apprentice in the past. So talk about the fix. They couldn't even put up a defense. This is all planned to try and break him. You know, you've got Letitia James trying to go after almost $500 million, or take his property at 40 Wall Street, for instance. And, you know, this is all to try and break him money-wise. But then the appellate court come in and said, no, we'll make it 170 million or 175 million. Well, that just had to bum their days. I still think that there's some SEC violations going on there, that somebody with the court managed to step in and say, how much money does he got sitting in the coffer? And, we want to empty his coffer. I think that we're going to see something coming up on that. These people all deserve, well, I can't tell you what I think they deserve because I would be banned. But I think you get my drift. I'll just say Nuremberg 2.0. Let's just say it that way. All of them. Every single one of them. And let's not forget in 1947 what they did to even the reporters that were doing as our mainstream media is doing today. Look it up. Nuremberg 1947. That's the other thing. The CERN collider. Why in the world would you want to tempt fate? Why would you want to do that? If you have prophetic situations where you have got the Bible saying, okay, if you look at Acts 2, verse 19, I will shew wonders in heaven above, and I will. Let me reread that. And I will shew wonders in heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. That's Acts 2:19. Now, Job's got a couple of verses extremely similar to that, but that's one. To me, that says that it's a sky event that then brings earthquakes and volcanoes. Say that again. I will shew wonders in heaven above and signs in the earth beneath, blood, lava, blood, and fire and vapor and smoke. Then 20, the sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood before the great and notable day of the Lord come. So, it's a couple of prophecies there, I believe. So, sure, there's been many other eclipses. However, have there been any of them with all the planets in alignment? Don't know that there has been. There was 3 major planets in 1811. The boot heel and the earthquakes were in the thousands after when that one occurred. And that was also with the Devil's Comet that was in alignment in 1811. And it was chaos in 1811. We've got a repeat that it looks like coming up. So, yeah, There's lots of eclipses. I've seen a lot of them. So, is there a lot to do for nothing? Yes, it's tomorrow at 11:42 Eastern time. Yeah. So there's just something that even if it's not natural, I mean, who said this? Somebody, I saw it the other day, said if anything occurs on the 8th, it won't be man made. There is that. Like I said, there's still 30 tons of ammonium nitrate that's missing. And I'm wondering if there's been any weird drilling going on along Path of Totality. Some deep wells. Just saying. So it's a time for a black swan or a false flag, maybe. Who knows? Conspiracy theories. Oh, wow. We're just full of them on the right, aren't we? I, for one, want to see something that would allow us to expose them. Yeah. Okay, let me do a double check here, real quick. I'm not really into that guy. Just, there's conspiracy theorists, and then there's conspiracy theorists. And I'm not even going to give his name. I don't want to give him any credit. He just there goes another flock. Just trying to see. There was Trump added another $4 billion to his portfolio right after he got word that his bond would be 175 million, and now he's got money to can't finish his campaign. He would be paying for it anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter. They're running scared. They are truly running scared. I wish that there was something that could have been done sooner. I have my own theories on what I believe should happen and should have happened already, but a lot of them will get me banned, so I got to be careful. I'm seeing a lot of people standing up for just the madness that the left is pushing. I mean, come on. This transgender recognition day on Easter? Are you serious? They're trying to unplug us from God. They are trying to unplug us from Jesus Christ. And then they go and you know it's not the resident. You understand these noodles are overcooked, right? You understand that. He's not the one putting this stuff together. He's got a bunch of woke ass snowflake uh, individuals, men who believe they're women but they're lesbian women, and so on in the White House. They just check those boxes, okay? And one of them runs his Twitter. One of them is sitting down going, "Oh, you know what would be great? Hey, Easter, we'll just make this We'll just make this day a trans recognition day. Get out of my face with that crap. I don't need that crap. You know, if you want to be trans, be trans. But you come and put it in my face, and I might have to knock you back. It's just, it's garbage. It's absolute garbage. And look at the amount of bullcrap that they have been pushing on us in the last 3 years. The absolute bullcrap. So, must be me. You're right. We can't know what the government has planned. Yep. Let the horns blow. Bring the walls of Jericho down. Yep. Newcomers, my backside. You know, there's another Mayorkas gotcha, right? They're not illegal aliens. They're not undocumented immigrants. They're newcomers. Man, we need the, and then you've got um, Chuck Schumer refusing to move the impeachment for Mayorkas into a trial. Yeah. They impeached him, but without running it through a trial, we can't get him out of there. So he's stuck. We're sitting at 8.5, 9 months away from the election, and they're going to cheat. There's no doubt about that. They're they're already looking for the next excuse. So, if I were to be a prophetic for just a moment, and I say that they use this coming Monday to create what will be considered a natural disaster. Y'all need to understand there are executive orders in place that in a natural disaster, the president can claim that everything's got to be shut down, including elections. And they already did this in Ukraine. That's why they've had no elections, and you still have, Mr. Tight Pants in there still, because they just shut down the elections. If they can't beat Donald Trump with lawfare, they cannot beat him and put him in jail. You've got Letitia James and her kangaroo court system. You've got Fani Willis down there in Georgia and her boyfriend and all of their BS that's coming, that's going on down there with the RICO. I love it. AOC. RICO's not a crime. There goes another flock. So you can't beat him there. Then just exactly what choice do they have left? We saw what they did back in 2019, 2020 with this COVID-19 crap, with this pandemic garbage, in order to put in means of being able to cheat easier with mail-in ballots, with ballot box locations on the curbside. drop boxes. Now, even though we've got, and then using the most corrupt type of electronic systems ever devised, we need to still get out and vote, but we need to swamp their ability to cheat. Now, they know that we're coming that way. They know that we're going to swamp them that way. So the only thing left in their quiver is a disaster. That's not a good thing to be thinking about. But again, if I were to be prophetic for a moment, I would say that a natural event coming up in less than 24 hours would allow for a disaster of extremely convenient components, shall we say. Oh, we got to suspend the elections, man. National disaster. There are Obama era executive orders that basically would put Homeland Security, and that's Mayorkas, in charge of everything. In charge of everything. FEMA included. Call for that national disaster, and the next thing you know, oh, let's not forget that we've got 22,000 military-aged men, CCPs, have come across that southern border since the beginning of this year. Activation of terror cells. Soon you will find out who I am, type stuff. And you have a recipe for a huge disaster. Huge. So I really do believe that's what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and come up with a disaster that is big enough that they can suspend the November election. And actually, I'm going to be honest with you, July 18th is a magic day. That is the day of the RNC's candidate certification for president. They don't want that to happen. They do not want a certified candidate on July 18th. So, there you have it. Conspiracy Theories 101. Let's see what happens, shall we? Come back to this video if something happens, if you can even get internet access at that particular point. So there's that. There would be radio wave issues. If y'all don't have a ham radio right now, a HF ham radio, maybe you should consider getting one. If you go to patriotroster.com, again, that's patriotroster.com, you can go, let me bring it up so I can, I'll bring you over here. So at patriotroster.com, there's this You Ready? And this is a website I built a few years back. And it talks about communications. And if you are a registered individual, you'll get a drop down on this You Ready side of things. And you'll be able to see some other stuff. I've got my constitutional documents, by the way. If you're interested in any constitutional lookup whatsoever, you can go into patriotroster.com and you can look up all of our constitutional documents. All of our nation's documents are all indexed right here on this constitutional page. So there is a link. Let me find it here real quick. I believe it's called radios, but let's find. Yeah, it is called radios. And then there is another one. Okay, so if you go to patriotroster.com/radios, this allows you to get directly to a page that I created that explains the different types of radios. Okay. And another one is antennas. Now this is a more of a document that I put together that tells you when it hits the fan and you don't have a radio antenna for your radio, I mean, then I have the complete formula listed here on how to make an antenna with a wire. Okay. So that one is patriotroster.com/antennas. So it's a good one there. I did this a while back, but basically I explain how the speed of light works on how to make an antenna with a wire. Okay. So there is that. Once you register, the UReady will allow you to have the drop downs that would come down here. And when you hover over UReady, the menu will come down. Okay. And allow you to look at radios and antennas without having to type it in directly, basically. Then there's a forum also in there. Okay. Yep. So anyway, you can go to patriotroster.com. You can get a lot of the information that I've already put together, and go from there. But yeah. Anyway, I haven't been on here in quite some time because I wanted to kind of I was hoping things would kind of settle down a little bit. In the back of my mind, I knew that was probably not going to happen, and it hasn't happened. I mean, we've had everything from murders by illegal aliens, and squatters. Believe this shit? You got people that can move into your house while you're on vacation. You can't get them out. I know how I would get them out. Of course, I would have free room and board for life. after doing so, but I know how I would get them out. So some of the things that you should have little solar packs, wind up radios. These are things that even Glenn Beck was going through the other day. You should have a good amount of water stored up. Even if you have to go pick up some 5 gallon buckets with lids and just start putting, keeping them in the basement or in the back room full of water. Water is important. Um, Food supply. I've got chickens, so I've got eggs. I've got a greenhouse that we had last year and yielded a lot of things last year that I canned over the winter. Um, and just yeah, you go and pick up some Homer buckets with lids and fill them with water. Actually, they've got a food grade one there. It's white. It's a white bucket. Um, Take them, rinse them out once, fill them all up with water, snap the lid on them. Put just a teaspoon of bleach, just a teaspoon of bleach in that 5 gallon bucket. Cap it, put that sucker away, stack them up on a back wall somewhere. Water, 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 and water. Okay. Oatmeal, believe it or not, oatmeal, Quaker oatmeal or whatever your brand, forget, just rolled oats, oatmeal. We're not talking about those little instant packets. We're talking about the big cylindrical cans of oatmeal. Beans, put them in 5 gallon buckets. You can get 50 pounds of beans. Beans have got a lot of carbohydrates in them and they've got a lot of protein in them. So, beans. Um, a way to, because you could have a propane stove, but you want, I would still have a barbecue with a lot of charcoal briquette bags. Catch my drift? Yeah, I'm trying to think urban, but not out in the country kind of stuff. If you've got to go out on a patio with a small little barbecue, at least you can cook. Um, just be prepared. Just be prepared. Having a yep, beans and rice. Beans and rice. You can buy instant potatoes. You can buy instant milk. Um, Keeps forever. Just it's got a 20-year shelf life or something like that. Just put that sucker away, and just keep it handy. Beans, rice, potatoes, rice, um, powdered milk. So especially if you've got kids, that they want their milk with their oatmeal, for instance. You can make up some milk, and you're not going to have, if you've got a long power outage, you're not going to have any way to refrigerate stuff. So meats. If you're into canning, you can can meats. Okay, you can can hamburger, you can can beef chunks, chicken, things like that. You can can it. You can go out on YouTube. There's videos on how to do that, how to can it. Have that stuff ready. Because if it's already come down the pipe and it's the what has hit the fan, then you'll have to find ways to smoke meat. If you can even get meat, and if you're in the city, pardon my explanation, but your goose is cooked. You got to get out to the country. You got to get out of the city. Let's just put it that way. You don't want to hunker down in a city, in a high rise, or in an apartment complex. You have got to do a bug out plan. You got to bug out. You've got to have a bug out bag ready, and you got to know where you're going to go. You got a friend out in the country that might have some ham radio set up, so you got some communications, got some solar power stuff. Um, that's the kind of stuff that being ready is all about. Yes, wrist rockets. Um, you know, cheap on Amazon, cheap on at your hobby store even, and is a good way to you pick up some ball bearings and a wrist rocket, and if you had to use, you can do like I was when I was a kid and use rocks, but or stones. Protection. If you don't have a gun, you can get a crossbow even. Go to your little hot. You go to your sportsman's, and your and pick up a small crossbow. You know, and stuff like that. So you don't have to register that stuff. You've got something that you can protect yourself with. Salt, absolutely, AMC. Absolutely. Salt. I would say Celtic salt or pink Himalayan salt. Pink Himalayan salt, by the way, has got a lot of other stuff. There's been some tests that show that there's some mercury possibly in pink Himalayan salt, but Celtic salt, a very good alternative to pink Himalayan salt. Um, Iodine, water purification tablets. They make an iodine tablet. Okay, and you drop one in a bottle of water, and loosen the lid just a little bit with the water in there, and kind of shake it up, let it set for a few minutes, and yeah, it tastes like crap, but it's bug free. Um, so if you wind up having to purify your water, so you need water purification tablets. Okay, they're an iodine tablet. You want to get that kind of stuff. You want to get a fire starter. You want to have a fire starter ready. I mean, I have a whole bag of things that I carry in my bug out bag. It's I have a fishing vest that I can toss on. I've got everything in the pockets of that fishing vest with my flint and everything to be able to. I've even got saved up dryer lint in Ziploc bags, compressed up and in Ziploc bags. You'd be surprised how good you can start a fire with old dryer lint or old corn chips or something like that. You can use. So, but iodine tablets, iodine liquid, iodine, good to have. Um, wow, allergic to iodine. Find some kind of an antiseptic. Let's put it that way. Jerky is good, long shelf life, expensive as hell, but oh, lights flashed. Um, so yeah, magnesium. Make sure that you have vitamins, large amounts of vitamins, because you're not going to get the nutrients that you think you're going to get. So you want to have some supplements, especially D3. D3 is, most of us are D3 deficient. So D3 is one to have. Um, then multivitamins, so that you can supplement when you're having to eat something just to eat something and it's not really nutritious, but you can get rid of the hunger pains, that kind of stuff. You want to make sure you have all that stuff. I don't know how I got on that tangent, but like I said, this is one of those ad lib nights. Yeah, Ron, I believe that. I was sitting here the other day, not one, not two, not three, but five C-130s went over me. And then some weird kind of a plane. I looked out the window, there were three of them that had, they were props, and they had like these pontoons under the wings, not landing pontoons, but under the wing carriers on a, I don't know what they were. When I looked up on ADSB, they weren't squawking. So I have no idea what's going on. Something for Monkey Works to figure out too. So even though I use the same tools that he uses, I was not able to see that. Well, I've been on here for about an hour, folks. So if you've got any questions, let me know. I have. I'm going to get down to, I think, the 26 degrees tonight out here in Reno. And I haven't used my furnace at all this year. I've got a wood burning stove that I've been using this entire year, and I kind of thought that I'd be down at the point where I wouldn't need the stove, and hadn't used it for about a week, and all of a sudden we had this cold snap. So it was 24 degrees this morning when I woke up. It was 24 degrees the day before, and we're going to have another 20 odd degree deal. The weather pattern is so weird. I I moved out here into the valley where I am now in 1963, and I have never seen weather this way. It has been winds gusting out to 30, 40 mile an hour almost daily for the last week. And last month we had gusts over 120 miles per hour on the mountain just 30 miles away. Just the weirdest things are happening. You do the math. I think I know what's happening, but then yeah. Okay. So yeah, you know what? Let me give you two thoughts about this. NATO, corrupt organization that it is. Why is it that U.S. senators and people all over the place are wanting the Ukraine to be joining NATO? Lindsey Graham, one of them. If they join NATO, if NATO takes them, we're in World War III. Okay? NATO has something called an Article 5 resolution. If NATO brings the Ukraine in, the entire concept of NATO was to protect countries against Russia. So you wind up getting Ukraine in there, who has got a war declared with Russia. Guess what happens? Article 5 is now in order. That means that American troops, along with all other NATO troops, go on the ground against Russia. Do you think for a single moment that Putin isn't going to do a direct attack on the United States if that occurs? That's why he went into Ukraine in the first place, because of the threat of them going into NATO. Well, amongst other things. But NATO's a bad thing, and it's especially bad for the corrupt country of Ukraine to get in there. It is amazing to me how politicians in Washington, D.C. won't pass a piece of legislation that we need for the southern border because it doesn't contain money going to the Ukraine. Yeah, I had to turn around in Terre Haute, Indiana, and come back, Scott. I had to have a shoulder surgery. And by then, in November of 23, the elections had just occurred. I'm sorry, November of 22. And the elections had just occurred, and it was obvious that there was absolutely nothing that was going to occur between election day 2022 in November and January 1st. Not going to be able to move the needle whatsoever in Washington, D.C. So any effort whatsoever of trying to proceed beyond where I was in Terre Haute would not have moved any kind of a needle whatsoever. Even if I had a couple of million people, it wasn't anything going to happen. That's just the way it is. Yeah, that was a lame duck Congress that was going to give off from the 117th to 118th. And the goal was to end the state of emergency. And that occurred on May 11th, 2023. Even though we have no accountability, we have no change to the 1976 Act that would stop any administration from invoking future states of emergency like I think it's coming. No, they've done it already once. Trust me, they will do it again. That's correct. But there's border policies in place. There's zero amount of enforcement. And when you hear the left in Congress say it's the Republicans, they won't pass the bill to give us more money, they won't do it. The money that would be any money given to the border right now in this administration would be to hire more processors. Like that 87,000 IRS agents, they'd have 87,000 more Border Patrol out there. Not Border Patrol, but border processors. Come on in. Come on in. Next. Take a number. Take a number. All right, next. Here's your phone. Here's your Visa card. Here's your plane ticket. Next. That's all that's for. That's all that would be for. So you're right. We have border policies in place. Just enforce them. Got Article 8. Boom. Shut it down, man. Close the borders right now. Tell Mexico, hey, guess what? We're not going to take any imports, and we're not going to take anything whatsoever from Mexico. You can kiss our ever-loving backside, and you can shove it where the sun doesn't shine until you clear up these cartels in your country. And, oh, by the way, nobody's coming across the border. We're going to close it completely. 100% finito. Done. So, southern border, and they're coming across the northern border too. That's not without its problems too. Not nearly as bad as what's going on the southern border, but we've got 141 different countries coming across the southern border. We have got terrorist groups, obvious terrorist groups, coming across the southern border. And like I said, tomorrow is going to be an interesting day. An interesting day. I'll give you a little bit of food for thought. I referenced that ammonium nitrate still hasn't been found. 30 tons. That's 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. Now, the Mirror Federal Building in Oklahoma City was taken down with 6,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate. There's 60,000 pounds of missing ammonium nitrate. Let me ask you this. If you understand how the power grid is created in the United States of America, the aging, decrepit power grid, they would want to tax more with electric car chargers and all of this electric. It's not going to be replaced by solar panels. Come on now. Solar panels. 4,000 acres of solar panels will just barely cover the electrical needs of the New York subway. Okay. Or the number of windmills. That's the biggest farce that there ever was. Not only do they kill our eagles, but the windmills that cost a fortune that come out of China. And what do? They increase the rates anyway. It costs more money to maintain them than a coal-powered power plant. So, what would it take to take the grid down, the 500 kV lines? Do you know that you could have strategic points of interruption, 7 strategic points of interruption, and it would take our grid down for months. For months, if not years. Do you think they cross over a highway? Do you think they cross over an interstate? And if Timothy McVeigh could put 6,000 pounds into a Ryder truck, park it in front of a building, and blow the building up, what would a 53-foot tractor trailer do that just so happened to have an engine problem right underneath one of these transmission lines, times 7 convenient engine failures and 7 convenient points with 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate missing? Just food for thought. So the Chinese people that have been coming across the border are military-aged men. You don't see any kids. You don't see any. China is the hardest to get out of for the people. Yet, we took 22,000 of them just this year. If you go down to Honduras, or you go down to the Darien Gap area, okay, in Panama, we have the old Scott base down there that has been all but taken over by the CCP, and they've got a processing area down there where they process individuals that are going to flee to America. The CCP letting citizens leave China and assisting them to go across the American southern border? Really? If you're not awake, I'm sorry. Those people are not coming here to have a picnic. The Chinese people are under the rule of the CCP, and when they're coming across 20-somethings, coming across all male, to the tune of 22,000 of them, you really have to open your eyes. When you've got guys that have been caught that belong to Islamic terrorist groups, and there are thousands of them coming across, you really have to begin to think. I think I'm going to play something before I go here about that. All right. Bridget Gabriella, she created let me see if I can find it. She had a thing that she was doing back in the days of the Benghazi hearings and in Benghazi, And she tore apart a a person in a meeting. I'm just going to find it here real quick. Is this it?
Great question.
Yeah. So let me see if it's set up to play this audio.
Great question.
It is. So I'm going to mute out. This is from Bridget Gabriella. It's an AI voice, but it is Bridget Gabriella. All credit to Bridget Gabriella. I would like all of you to just listen to this.
Great question. I am so glad you're here, and I am so glad you brought that up, because it gives us an opportunity to answer. What I find so amazing is, since the beginning of this panel, which we are here about the Benghazi attack against our people, not one person mentioned Muslims, we're here against Islam, or we're launching a war against Muslims. We are here to discuss how 4 Americans died and what our government is doing. We are not here to bash Muslims. You were the one who brought up the issue about most Muslims, not us. And since you brought it up, allow me to elaborate with my answer. There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big as the population of the United States. So why should we worry about the radical 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill, because it is the radicals that behead and massacre. When you look throughout history, when you look at all the lessons of history, most Germans were peaceful, yet the Nazis drove the agenda, and as a result, 60 million people died, almost 14 million in concentration camps, 6 million were Jews, the peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Russia, most Russians were peaceful as well, yet Russians were able to kill 20 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at China, for example, most Chinese were peaceful as well, yet the Chinese were able to kill 70 million people. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. When you look at Japan prior to World War II, most Japanese were peaceful as well, yet Japan was able to butcher its way across Southeast Asia, killing 12 million people, mostly killed with bayonets and shovels. The peaceful majority were irrelevant. On September 11th, in the United States, we had 2.3 million Arab Muslims living in the United States. It took 19 hijackers, 19 radicals to bring America down to its knees, destroying the World Trade Center, attack the Pentagon, and kill almost 3,000 Americans that day. The peaceful majority were irrelevant.
The peaceful majority were irrelevant. I just love that from Bridget Gabrielle. Um, she laid it out. 19 people, extremists, proved that the peaceful majority are irrelevant. Okay? So that's something to consider with what's coming across the southern border. You have got 335 million Americans. If you have even 3 to 5%, 3% at 10 million of them are slaughtered in some kind of a thing that occurs, they were the peaceful majority. Okay? So just know that. That's the way. Hey, Mrs. M. Okay. So I'm glad that everybody was able to come in tonight. Um, I apologize for it being so long. I will do my best to to come in more often and to have an agenda. Today, like I said, it was just off the cuff. I just wanted to come in, let you guys know that I'm still alive. I'm kicking. Oh, that's what it was. I received a phone call. I received a phone call from Blinky saying that somebody in his chat on one of his lives said, "Rest in peace, Grey Wolf." Well, I assure you, I'm not an AI generation. I am here. I'm alive. I'm doing well. And there's no need to rest in peace, Grey Wolf, anywhere. So, yeah. So I'm not 100% sure as to when I will be live again. My next live, I want to actually come up with some content that I can give you and stay on that effort and go for, give you something. My dog's doing great, doing really good. Can you imagine me as an AI? I'd look like that character on Max Headroom. Yep. Oh, just telling you how old I am by that. Yeah, I mean, if you can't tell. So anyway, yeah. Yep, dog's doing great. So listen, folks. Uh, it's funny, Brenda, that you say that. I just sold the trailer yesterday, day before yesterday, day before yesterday. It's still sitting down there. The guy that bought it got into an accident. He texted me today. He's got a punctured lung, and he won't be here to pick it up until end of next week. That's fine. It's been sitting here, but he did come and pay for it and got the title back. So yes, this trailer, it has been sold. I'm still trying to sell the motorcycle. If you know anybody who wants a 1999 Valkyrie Interstate with 27,000 miles on it, I have one for sale. They blue book for about $6,300. So you can look on Facebook Marketplace for Reno area. You'll see it there, and you'll also see it in Craigslist for the Reno area. So I do have that for sale as well. Just trimming down. I did get rid of my Camaro, which was a heartbreaking situation for me. But then the tractor that I picked up has just been wow. All right, folks. So listen, I'm going to say good night to y'all. It's been a long one tonight. It's been a sporadic going all over the place, but like I said, I just wanted to let you all know that I was still alive. And so have a good day tomorrow. Keep your heads on a swivel. Get yourselves prepared. Be prepared for anything. I'm seeing a lot of weird stuff out there. I know y'all are too. So I will endeavor to try and get on here a lot more often, and we'll have some conversations with some substance. So love y'all. God bless you, and God bless the United States.